Okay, so I will start then. Of course, this is you will see these results are from a team. I'm just representing the team here. I will talk about the motivation for this project, the context about the Southwest, because we are talking about a project that is being carried out in Portugal, Spain, and south of France. A bit about the consortium, and mainly about the methodology we are following to deal with this issue of the preventive conservation of the built heritage with some cultural value. And just a final slide about the conclusions. So we saw a lot of, and as I'm a structural engineer, I could not resist to put this slide. We saw also a very nice, fantastic presentation this morning about earthquakes. Well, the motivation that we know that the buildings do not last forever, and the earthquake is one of the major, or maybe the most important threat. But our project is not about this. Okay, forget about this. So our project is about prevention. Okay, we do conservation, preventive conservation with our cars. We do it with ourselves. So we go to the doctor every 3 or 4 years. And we don't do it, normally we don't do it with our heritage, with our house, with our monuments, with our buildings. I'm not just talking about monuments, about buildings that have some, can be listed or non-listed, but they have some cultural value, okay? So, especially in Portugal, and this is the context, I'm not talking about Slovenia, this part of Europe I'm not so aware of, but in Portugal, we don't have this care of dealing with the buildings in a preventive way. So this was really our starting point, okay? So what happens there in the southwest of Europe? It's not a rule, but it's a general trend we have. So we don't have this attitude towards conservation or preventive conservation. So we don't do it on a regular basis. So when things go wrong, and we know things go wrong because aging is a phenomenon that happens with us, but with buildings, with everything, okay? So this means buildings, if we don't do nothing, buildings will have problems. And typically we invest, we do things when the problems are too serious to be ignored, and we have to act. And then this, of course, we have to act. Everybody sees, the money appears. And I mean, we have to do these large investments, but the damage is the motivation for the investment. This is a bit strange, but it's how it goes. And also the investment, the money, the resources are very scarce, and you need damage, especially a lot of damage, to justify this investment. This is wrong. We know this is wrong, but this is what we tend to do. What we should do? We should do the opposite. I mean, we should define a methodology. This was also approached in the previous conclusion. So I think we all agree on this. We need a different approach. We need to value the work of inspection, diagnosis, the monitoring if necessary. So we need sometimes to be guided on this. We need some experts, of course, and this is not so simple most of the times, or depending on the areas. You will see in our case. And also we need a tool to guide, and with these modern technologies, we should take the tools, these modern technologies, and put them in this context. Also, we need to involve all players, of course, starting with the universities and sorry, should be this one, yeah, the university and research centers, of course, but we cannot ignore the owners. We cannot ignore the private sector that works in this field directly, and we can. Well, about our context. So we have a lot of heritage. Funded by the Interreg Sudweb program, so only these regions are eligible to the program, so that's why we are working this area. This is more or less obvious. But what you can see from the list buildings, we have more than 31,000 listed buildings in this region, where we have about 80 million problem in our region. You have areas, especially rural areas, where you have very old populations living there without much technical expertise and without much budget or strength to take care of these buildings, and they start on this very long process of degradation. This is also a big problem in this area. So about the project itself. So as I told before, we are funded by the Interreg Sudway program. The project started in 2016, and it involves these three partners, or these three countries: Portugal, Spain, and France. And it's being coordinated by us, by University of Minho. Just one slide about the consortium. We are 8 partners, universities. I will show later the composition. So we have 3 partners from Portugal, 3 partners from Spain, and 2 partners from France. We also have, these are beneficiary partners. We have also several associated partners. They are very important because they will bring information. We need information from, let's say, from the reality. We need this information from designers, from construction companies. This is very, very, very much important. So about the organization, as we said before, so we need people from university and research centers. We have from the 3 countries. We need the public owners, the Directorate of Culture in the different countries. We need private sector. For instance, we have in this case as a beneficiary one foundation that manages heritage in north of Spain, and also we need society. We need owners either as beneficiary or associate partners. So we need them to receive their point of view and also to provide some advice on the evolution of the project. Well, what we want to do, what was our major ideas, so our objectives. So first of all, we want to develop an integrated methodology to perform this preventive conservation, so create the basis for this. We want to bring the technologies, digitalization, monitoring, all this information to bring to this preventive conservation approach, and to define tools and to create tools and to define methods to perform this work. Of course, you are working in 3 countries. I mean, the work or the final result should not depend on the partner, should not depend on the person. So you have an inspector. So the result should not depend on the inspector. Should be as objective as possible. This is not so simple, but this effort of standardization is to avoid subjectivities. And our final goals, we have also, besides these ones that are stated, we have some that are not so simple to measure, especially the first. We want to create some public awareness about the need, the importance, the benefits associated to this regular preventive conservation action. So it will be very important if society understands after, well, by hearing about this project, by looking at the results, understand that it's really something necessary, and if we are in somehow able to create some new companies will appear who work on this field in our region. This will be really great. And also we have an ultimate goal, that is the creation of a non-profit entity that will use these tools and this methodology. What happens with European projects? We have been involved in several. So at the end, we have a website with the guidelines, nothing else. And this is a pity because it's an effort, millions of euros being spent there, a lot of dozens of people working in the project, nice reports at the end. But at the end of the project, we go for the next project. And I mean, it's there like a repository. I'm not saying this is not good. It's good. It's really important. But sometimes it's not enough. So in our case, we want to create this entity, non-profit association. That should be an entity that should take the tools, go to the field, and do it. Of course, it's not so simple, because if you ask a university, do you want to belong? Do you want to be a founding member of of an association, maybe not. Maybe you can do it on my behalf. So it's not so simple to convince the actors to become associates. So we are in this process. So at the end, we will not do one association. We'll do 3 associations, 1 in each country, and later we will try to create an umbrella association. But this is really important. If you are able to at the end of the project to have this legal figure that will be able to hire some engineers, for instance, and will be able to use our platform to do inspections for the associated partners, this will be great. This is our final goal that we hope to reach by the end of the project. Okay. Well, about the methodology, so very simple. You will find a lot. I was a bit aware of the Inception project by read some papers, of course. But this was great to have such presentations with approaching these different topics. I found a lot of similarities, and I said, well, this is really great. I wish I was able to do that as well. So, but I will show. But you also see some similarities. So, although there are some important differences. So we divide this into 3 levels to make it simple. So first level, it's the simplest one, but also the most important one in our project. So in the first level, we will do inspections, so mainly visual inspections, mainly on a regular basis, of course. At the end, we should be able to produce a report for the owner. The report should be not that much technical, otherwise the owner will not understand. Okay, so in the report, we summarize the damage, we summarize the causes of the damage and some possible actions. Okay, recommendations for action. Of course, it should be something simple. We are at the really upstream of the thing. I mean, we don't plan as project or as association in the future to do the work. So we are just advising the owner. You should do this in the next 2 or 3 years. Otherwise, the problems will increase, and then it will become more expensive for you to repair your house. And then he goes to a design office, asks some project if it is some design, if it is necessary, or goes directly to the contractor, some company. So we are just really, we want to be at the upstream, so filling a gap where you don't find companies working on Portugal on this field. I have to say that we were very much inspired at the beginning by the Monument Watch that works in Netherlands and Belgium. So they are performing this type of action, and I think this is great because it's something we really need in our region. So at the end, we have, as I said, we have recommendations for the owner. This is great. It's a simple document, a very concise, not complex one. You will see some details later. You will see how simple it is. And then, if there is a need to go for a more complex approach, then we have level 2. Level 2, we go for a more complete survey. So we can obtain the geometry, for instance, using laser scan, photogrammetry, or other tools. So we'll have a more complete the geometrical description. We also do the inspection of the assets, because in the level 1 we just go for the building itself. And now, also, if there is a need, we can include sensory systems, so monitoring of either mechanical or physical parameters from the building, and reach them on real time. If the case requires even a more complex approach, then we go for level 3. Of course, we are expecting this to be applied in maybe 1% of the cases only. So we will build a BIM model where you can have all the information you want. You can have mechanical properties, the history of the interventions, damage. I mean, everything you can imagine can be put in the BIM model, as was explained before. So this is the 3-level approach we are implementing. So, of course, to check if this works, we are implementing and validating this in 60 case studies, 20 per country. So we are trying to replicate all the steps in the 3 countries, so to see if it works, if there are some issues, because you have some specificities, regional specificities, obviously. So we will do the level 1, the simplest one, basically inspections and reports, in 60 case studies. From these 60, we'll select 15. And we will do level 2, so with the virtualization of information, some monitoring in some of them. And then in each country, we will select to be our major case study, where we'll develop the level 3, so the BIM approach. So going directly we are in half of the time going like to level 1. So it's something quite simple. I think it's easy to understand. So we go to the building. We have to do this processing, pre-processing of the information. So we get the information from the owner. So we organize the information. This goes directly to a platform. In this case, the HeritageCare platform, the web platform. So then we have to identify the problems, the damage, the pathologies in the building. We have also to assess the condition of the building with a label. So in fact, we are using a color from green to red to make it very simple to the owner. And then, of course, this damage they have to be organized according to a damage atlas. We need to define the cause of the damage. And then we need to recommend some actions, some conservation actions. First, to mitigate the damage, if any, and second, to avoid the progression of the damage in the near future. And this is supposed to be repeated every 2, 3, or 4 years, depending on the state of the building. Well, this is just the use of some tools. Of course, if you have to go up. I mean, this is our case study, the Ducal Palace. It will be the one who will build the BIM model. So if you want to inspect the roofs, of course you can also go there. But I mean, these tools, we can use them, and they can bring large benefits. So in terms, just very simple. So we divide our building in 11 categories. For instance, for the building interior, we define subcategories, and each of these subcategories, in each of the categories, we go there and we do the visual inspection. Sometimes we cannot access. Other times, in other cases, it's not really possible to end. But this the report also has information about this, if the area was not inspected. But the inspection and the list of the damage goes according to a damage atlas. In fact, we developed 2 damage atlas, one for the building and another one for the assets. Of course, you can imagine, this is obvious, we need a multidisciplinary team. We need structural engineers, we need construction engineers, we need architects, we need conservators. So we need a lot of people with different expertise. Otherwise, it would be impossible. Also, this brings some need for understanding, because we have different views, we have different vocabulary, and this brings challenge, let's say, in this way. So, but you need to converge at a given point. So imagine just a very simple. I'm sure all of you face the same problems when you're building the damage atlas. There are dozens of damage atlases. We want to build one specific for this case. Put together the knowledge of the partners. Who, if you don't have careful, your goal is to build the best damage atlas in the world. But for this, you need 4 or 5 years. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, you need to convert it something that should be as simple as possible, and that also should work in practice. These are details that we can talk later, but these are, of course, here we have some. Sorry, this case shouldn't be here. It's a problem of the. It should be different weighting factor, because at the end we also we want to put a number there, a global number, and we need to weight the different components of the building. So the same in this case for the interior climate. I think you are understanding. This is the damage atlas. So for each major category, we define subclasses. So these are the major classes for the building. Then you have subclasses, and you can also in some cases have a subclass. Of course, you can continue on this, but if you do this, it will be a big mistake in the sense that you end up with doubts. If you have more categories, you cannot categorize and you'll do mistakes. So make it as simple as possible. You cannot stop here and say, oh, okay, I have microorganisms. It's not enough. But you can maybe separate between bacteria and algae, but then in bacteria, can you separate? It doesn't make sense, okay? So it doesn't seem, but it was also a big challenge to come up with a acceptable damage atlas. The same for the cracks in this case. So at the end, we have something very basic. Of course, the report is quite complete, but the part that goes, so the web platform generates a report that goes to the owner. Well, not goes, I mean, the owner goes to the platform. And I mean, it should be something very simple like this, so the owner understands If it is the green color, it's fantastic, so no problems. If it is the red one, maybe it has to do something quite fast. Otherwise, I mean, the problems will increase and you will have a major problem. So in this way, he understands quite well the message. The owner, and typical the owner or the manager, it's a non-technical person, so it doesn't know much. If you talk about cracks, minor cracks, about contamination, all these things, it doesn't understand what we are saying. So it should be something really, really simple. Okay, so this is just, and of course the inspection is done. We saw it before, fantastic with an app. In the app we are using, it's not online. It doesn't, because it will be. I mean, if you go for a remote area, you don't have connection. So it's, if you try to do connection, even in an area with poor connection, I mean, you will lose most of battery and time doing connection. It's offline, totally offline. So you do the inspection with your tablet, and then you go to your office, and then you do the synchronization only in the office. Of course, first you have to lower all the information. We call it pre-inspection information that you need to insert. I mean, division of the building into different areas, all these things, and then you do the inspection on site with your tablet. So it's just some print screens, and then you do the synchronization when you reach the office. So you do the synchronization with the web platform, and this web platform can be reached by the inspectors. Of course, inspectors, you need always two. You cannot do inspection with just one person. You have two persons, ideally with different backgrounds, and they should agree on that. It's two persons, one inspection. They should agree. I mean, on the same description, on the same type of damage, level of damage, all these things. But with different backgrounds, it's very important. And then also the owners, they can reach the platform. They can access the platform with at different levels. They don't need to know the details. They just need to know the report. So access the report, read, and put doubts. But also the entities. I mean, the municipality, for instance, it's good for them to know if, in the case they have like 50 buildings inspected in their municipality, they need to know in these 50, I mean, maybe 50% are in the red color, and this is really serious. They don't know the names. They know more or less this distribution because of privacy. They don't know the names. They don't know the location. They just know the minimum information possible because of privacy. But I think it's nice for them to understand how is the scenario in their municipality, in their region. This is not important. Okay, this is just again a print screen of the web platform. So we are here. Here we are feeling this is a material loss. This is a crack. So you can also put when you do inspection, you have to put photos. You can also record some audio, because sometimes you prefer just to say instead of writing, and you can just say some audio. I think this is quite useful. Not important, and will be the report. I need to move on. So the report with some descriptions, but at the end, the important part is this arrow showing for each of the areas what you are getting in terms. And finally, this is simpler. What you are getting for this, you need these weighting factors. It's not so simple to define the weighting factors. This depends a lot on the person, and if we go 2 or 3 teams, maybe we end up with different weighting factors. We need to calibrate this part. So is one of the tasks of the project to calibrate this definition. Is not so objective as it would be, or as it should be, let's say. But it allows us at the end to give a grade, let's say. And also we need to define some. If you say something urgent means today, or means in 1 week time, or 1 month's time. Not so simple, but it means should be as soon as possible. I mean, somehow for owners should be as soon as possible. Well, this is, I guess you are familiar with this. This is inspection, but in these inspections we try to put them in the platform, so you will have the different reports along the time. So every time you do an inspection, you can reach the previous one. In fact, when you go for the second inspection, you can preload with the information from the first. You can just revise the information. Of course, the system, if you don't look at, the system will not accept. You need to look and say, okay, it's the same. And you say, okay, and then the system will accept it, only in that case. Well, but in some cases, if the first is too simple, you go for level 2. So in level 2, you have to do, you are supposed to do this detailed survey. I'm not going to too much detail. This was very well presented in the previous sessions. So in this level 2, you go for geometry. So you have and most of this case we don't have plans, we don't have anything. So from level 1, so we need some geometry, and for this you can there are different tools for this. I will show some of the tools we are using. We also may need some monitoring information, okay, and also we may create some virtual tools. So virtual tours, not for touristic purpose, but for technical. You need to visit, you need to check. I will show you. So this is the Guimarães Castle, just nearby the university. This was obtained by photogrammetry, so you can get all geometry you need. This is just one example, also obtained by laser scanning. This is a monument in Guimarães as well. This is coming from our partners from the University of Salamanca. It's the library of Salamanca. So you can get all the information you need from geometrical point of view. Also, you can have orthophotos. This is nice to represent the image. You can use this to complete your description, your visual, your text description from level 1. This can somehow complement and provide some additional information regarding the description of damage based on geometrical information. In this case, visual, this is much better than the picture, of course, and you can do it in the picture in level 1, but this will be, let's say, a more advanced way of showing it. Monitoring is also very, very important. We are supposed, and we are installing monitoring in some of the case studies, not in all of them, because this costs a lot of money, but it's very important. With this, you can get mechanical parameters, you can get physical parameters. I will show some pictures about what we are obtaining from Ducal Palace in Guimarães. So we can go directly there. Maybe it's simpler. So we are getting temperature, humidity, luminosity, CO2. This is a physical parameters, but also we have some issue with some of the walls. We have some clinometers, and we can, in real time, we can obtain this information. The platform is not totally working at this point. This was done just in a few months ago, but I will show how we can, what we can see in this information. Just to complete our case study, so we have also moisture sensors. In this case, we will do it across the wall. We have outside, inside, so we can, and two inside, so we can have a humidity profile along the thickness of the wall. We have also, so for Xilófagos, this can be a problem, and all the roofs are made of timber. Maybe you didn't notice, but well, this is important in this case. And also to end up, we have a meteor station here. You can see it. Yeah, maybe you cannot see it so well, but you can see it here on the top. So this is very important, and you can get the wind, the rain, all this information. The third point of level 2, service level 2, is virtualization. So in a very simple way, you can get panoramic pictures, which is something very cheap, very simple, and you can create some tours. And we are doing this. I will show two small movies, one simple, another one a bit more advanced. Okay, this is Ducal Palace. This is technical. It's supposed to be technical, not touristic. Of course, you can do it touristic, but it's now our purpose. So you can, with these links, you can move from room to room, and I mean, you can hyperlink this to any information. In our case, we did it for the assets. So you can go directly to the report. So you can obtain information from the report using a very simple tool that is this virtual tool inside the palace. These are for the assets. I'm not sure if I make this very clear. So in level 1, we don't inspect the assets. They are important, of course, but we pay more attention to the structural aspects, to the building itself. So in level 2, we consider that assets cannot be ignored, the integrated or movable assets, and they need to be inspected with a different or proper the damage atlas. Okay, you need conservators on this point, definitely. Okay, and then this is the second movie. So this is more advanced stage. It's from the University of Salamanca. So in this case, You can get information directly on real time from your sensors. So you have the information from the sensors, the value, but more than that, or more useful than that, is to understand if the value you are reading is suitable or not. So you do it with color. So it's green color, it's okay. So temperature or humidity is okay. If it is yellow, not so good. And if it is red, something has to be done to correct it. This is very important for the owners. Imagine the owners is there, and he can I mean, in any room of the building, you can get this information with very simple, just colors. I mean, again, the owner is not an engineer or is not a technical person, so he doesn't know if 20 degrees in the room is good or bad. I mean, it needs something much simpler than that. Of course, the value is there, but it needs, if he sees something like this red one, it means there is problems. Okay, so you need to do something. Okay, of course you can call the technician, but you have this information on real time and in an affordable way. Of course, you can see that level 1 is quite, I will not say cheap, but it's compared to level 1 to level 3 is much more affordable, and this is very important. You know that one of the problems is that, I mean, the owners they claim, or the managers they claim they have no money. So if they have no money, you have to present them a very simple solution, not the minimum, but almost the minimum, but it's a solution that they can have money. Imagine the owner with 50. I mean, in Portugal, the church owns a lot of buildings. Imagine a parish with 50 churches or so. I mean, if you say that each church will cost you 5,000 euro, forget, you will do nothing, definitely. So you have to go for simple tool, and they have no technical knowledge, of course. They see cracks, there's humidity inside the church, but I mean, they have no money, they have no technical expertise, so they will do nothing, okay? Until the church is about to collapse, and then they phone some guys, the money will come, and they will do the work. But it's too late. Our purpose with level 1 is to make it simple and affordable. Okay, if you want to more complex models, you go for level 3, the service level 3, where you have everything you want, you wish, you dream. If there is money for that, you can do it. So basically, in this case, we built the BIM model. BIM model is a challenge, as you know very well. BIM is suited for new construction. When you have to deal with the existing buildings, this is much more difficult. You don't have the objects. If you want an object that has information about the mechanical properties, about history of construction, dates of interventions, all this is, you have to do it by yourself. So this is what we had to do in this project. Also, of course, if you want to put, and in our case, we didn't care much about the accurate description of geometry. If the wall has some out-of-plane movement, okay, this will be I mean, seen as a defect. So it's a damage. We have there a damage. We can put a patch that is the damage. We don't want to model to represent the damage. It's not enough to say there's a patch there. I see this damage is associated to, I don't know, biological colonization, for instance, or a crack. Okay, we don't want to model the crack in the BIM models. This is not our point. So the BIM, you put all the information you want inside, as you know. So these are basically first tests we did to start with. But our goal in this approach was to go for our main case study, that is the ducal path. This is just an example, so it makes sense for very large buildings. This is not one of our case studies. This is ducal palace. So we start by creating the properties. So this was very well discussed before. So this level of detail, we had to define all these things for our objects. So we created the objects, different objects for the ducal palace, and we built the BIM model. And then, as you know, it's a question of time and a question of money to put all the information you want in the BIM model, because BIM is about the sharing of information in a digital format. So, of course, we want we are very ambitious. We put this in the, I have to say, I hope there is nobody here from the European Commission, so we put this in the proposal. This is being a very hard task. Is to do the inspection on level 3, to do inspection with the HoloLens. So with the HoloLens, you can do the inspection, and you can do the inspection directly on the BIM model. Okay, this is a bit crazy. We are doing some efforts. It's not so simple. Okay, because we don't do it in this way. We do it as you saw, with the app. It's very simple, cheap. You can also You can also try to do it in level 2, but level 3 will be, in fact, the ultimate challenge. So with this HoloLens, you can put the information and say, okay, you select, okay, there is a crack here, just register. And this information goes directly to the BIM model, okay? So this is our ongoing challenge. Just to conclude, I would say that, well, as a keywords, I mean, instead of put sentences, I just put keywords. I think the message is quite clear. So diagnosis is really important to us. We need to know what happened. The owner needs to know what happened, why, and what he can do to mitigate or to avoid the development of this. Sometimes we need really to assume that there is a need to mitigate. This is not just a question of because the problem is already serious. You need to do something to fight, to counteract the problem. Then you may need some monitoring because you need to know what is happening now and it will happen on a daily basis. Okay, for future, you need to plan some interventions. Okay, even you need to plan the regular preventive works. You need to have information, mechanical or physical information. So you may need monitoring, and then at the end you need to manage all this information, put this together, because this will be some reports on the shelves doesn't work. Okay, you need to put this on a web platform. And to relate all the information, to understand the evolution of damage. You need to know if the owner did or not what you recommended. Okay, and this should be, you need a digital tool to manage all this information. And at the end, I mean, the beneficiary will be in fact the owner or the manager that has all this information, and he may define the level of detail or the level of the cost based on his budget. So he can do something really simple or much more advanced, depending on his purpose. And that's it. Thank you so much for your attention.